So these are just like a way to just briefly introduce you to the audience, introduce all of the season's artists to the Moon kind of audience for this season. So I was just wondering. And it's really terrific that you're coming. We're so thrilled to have you, and I know a lot of people are really interested in the banjo and in dancing, but you do both and sometimes together. So tell me about when you decided to pair dancing or clogging with playing the banjo.
Oh, well, goodness. And they're both skills that I learned really young. I started clogging when I was about 5 and picked up the banjo at 8.
Hmm.
And they're both old and deep loves of mine. And as is songwriting, I started writing songs in middle school and didn't really admit to it for a while because I grew up with a lot of traditional music and dance.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking that it was just a party trick to be able to play and dance at the same time. And then I realized that not many people could do it. So it's a party trick I should use.
Hmm.
And I don't always do it at the same time, but I definitely always have dancing in my show, some percussive dancing, clogging, and body percussion, and singing and playing banjo and guitar and doing some traditional stuff and some original stuff. And it's a very entertaining show.
Great, great. Well, you actually answered my next question, which was first for you, the banjo or clogging, but so you got that. So maybe what's like the first memory you can recall of hearing the banjo and being drawn to the banjo?
Well, I don't know if it was actually by choice. John Cohen, who is part of the New Lost City Ramblers and really well known in the old time music community, um, a northerner who really went to the southeast and studied and photographed and recorded and then played all over the world with the New Lost City Ramblers. Our house on the East Coast was often a stopping point for musicians who were traveling through. And I remember he was sitting on our couch and he said, "You girls should play the banjo." And he took us to go get a banjo. And I am completely left-handed, but I'm so grateful that my dad only wanted to get one banjo for my sister and myself. And so I learned to play, right-handed, which you use both hands, so it doesn't matter. Um, and I've been playing banjo ever since. And I'd say that dancing was my first love, and banjo was something that I always did just for fun, to play for square dances and jam sessions. But when I moved out to California, the percussive dance scene was not as active as I would have liked. And within 2 months, I was in my first band, and the rest is history.
Hmm. You're already answering my next questions in advance. I love this because my next was going to be how has the scene in California influenced your artistry? But seems that already you mentioned about the lack of a dance scene. So any other aspects of how the California scene impacted your music?
Um, let's see. Well, the band that I fell in with, the Stairwell Sisters, we were together for 13 years and recorded several CDs, and that was my development as a professional musician. I've been fortunate enough to be able to work all over the world. And my partner, Keith Terry, is most known for body percussion. And together we created the International Body Music Festival. And so I kind of represent a lot of Appalachian traditions in in very international scene. So it's been very gratifying, especially because the roots of Appalachian music are white, black, and brown. And many years ago, I really was, I had this light bulb go off about the African influences in um, the banjo, obviously, is from Africa, and in the clogging and the syncopations that are in old time music. And I did a lot of study in West Africa and just kind of connecting all those dots. And in California, I've been really able to explore that. It's a really multicultural environment. And I work both in a very traditional sense and then in a very expansive sense, but really holding to the joy and trying to counteract a lot of stereotypes that exist around Southern Appalachian music. and kind of expand people's ideas away from just an Anglo hillbilly culture into really a part of world music that's very potent and is the foundation of so much American music and dance that came after, tap dancing and blues and country and even up to rock and roll and hip hop.
Sure, sure. I love that. Um, Based on the point about stereotypes, tell me an artist or maybe a genre or an album that's in your playlist a lot, or in heavy rotation, that maybe people would be surprised to hear that you really like.
Oh boy. I'm terrible with names, like with kind of contemporary music, but because my son is a hip hop producer,
Oh
I've
wow.
listened to a lot of new music, the stuff coming out of Oakland, a lot of what the young folks are doing in hip hop. And there's a new record by Jay Walt out. My son is Claydo is his producer name. And so I've just been exposed to a lot of music in that realm. But I also love sad country songs. And
Yeah.
so the old stuff and the new stuff. There's a young old time band called the Onlys,
Hmm.
and an African American musician named Jake Blunt, who is actually just here at our festival. Um, boy, so many people.
Has
I
your
can't.
son ever incorporated your banjo into any hip hop tracks?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh
He hasn't wanted to go there. I've asked him about collaborating, and he said not ready yet.
no. We
Someday
had
it's his world.
one question from the public, which is someone said they are extremely new to the banjo. They're a very beginner, and would your workshop be too complex for them? Was the question.
So I'm really inclusive in my teaching. I really want people to get a joy out of music. So I feel like I can give all different levels something to work with. And I ask everyone to be a grown up and not get overwhelmed by the things that are too advanced for them, but to focus on the techniques that I give them that are help them grow as a musician.
Perfect. Great. All
Yeah.
right. It sounds good. Well, I think that's a nice, short, concise introduction. I think that that'll be enough for our YouTube to post.